So welcome. Yes, thank you. So welcome everyone. This is our first GCEC Virtual Connections of 2026. No surprise that we're starting with AI. It's what we've all been talking about the past few years now. And I looked it up, and this is our fourth session we've done through the GCEC Virtual Connections on AI. And we have a special guest here today from the University of Calgary who's going to talk about that. But before we get into today's session, I do have some updates and announcements from the GCEC headquarters. So I'm Holly DeArmond. I'm the executive director. I've met many of you I see here on the call, but some of you I may not know yet, but thank you for being here. So I'm calling 2026 our year of global connections because the GCEC is offering two opportunities to convene our members and our new members. We will have a global summit this summer, and then we'll be at Florida State in the fall for our annual conference. So I just wanted to give some updates on both of those opportunities for you. So first up, in July, we're going to be in Sao Paulo, Brazil. And some of you on today's session may have joined us in 2024 for our very first GCEC Global Summit that we did in Bangkok. We are doing another one this summer in July 23 through 25 in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Our host has a beautiful name, but I call them ESPM. But they're a marketing institution in Sao Paulo who also has a growing expertise in entrepreneurship. So they are going to be our university host for this summer's global summit. It will be similar to our conference, 3 days of educational sessions, panels, workshops, networking, enjoying cultural activities together. It'll be a little smaller. We're aiming for about 200 folks to join us there. And many of them will be from the South LATAM region. We haven't done anything in that region as an organization. And so we do anticipate broadening our network and bringing in a lot of new schools from that region. So the hot news is we're going to be launching this next week. So next week, via email and on our GCEC LinkedIn, we'll share with you how you can submit a proposal if you'd like to come and speak. We'll share with you what registration and where we're staying and all those good details so you can see if this is going to fit into your summer plans. And then our annual conference will be at Florida State this fall. You see a football icon there because we don't know our exact date quite yet. Florida State, like some of you on here, is a big football school. And so they had to wait for home games to come out for October before we could select our date. Those came out on Monday of this week. So we expect in the next 2 weeks to be announcing to you, our members, the exact date of our October annual conference at Florida State in Tallahassee, Florida. There are 2 date ranges that we're aiming for based on the football schedule. So those are on your screen as well. So keep your eye on email, again, LinkedIn, and we'll make that announcement probably in the next couple of weeks. We are running the 4th cohort of our Educator Lab certification. This is for those of you out there who are teaching or may start to teach. It really is, it's an interactive certification where it's very much self-paced with a cohort of 10 to 15 people. The sessions that you do synchronously are led by a facilitator, but a lot of the work is asynchronous, and it's really just a cohort model for you to grow and maybe evolve what you have been teaching inside the classroom or will be teaching inside the classroom. You can see the modules on the screen. There's 4 specific modules and then a final feedback session. This is led by our partner, the Stockholm School of Entrepreneurship. So if you have questions, I invite you to go to the website. You can also reach out to me or the GCEC email address, but Marwan at Stockholm School of Entrepreneurship will likely be your connection for fielding any questions you may have about that lab certification. And finally, before we start today's virtual connections, I wanted to promote our February virtual connections, which will be on the 27th of February. It's Evangelizing Entrepreneurship Campus-wide, and we have a very special panel put together. We have the crew from Ohio State, the Papa John Center, led by Judy Isles. Judy is the director there. She's been the director there quite a long while. She's our 2025 GCEC Legacy Award recipient, and so she's invited her team to come do a session about how they really spread entrepreneurship all throughout Iowa State. So you're going to leave with some marketing and promotional ideas. You're going to leave with their philosophy on, meeting students in person, and also just engagements through programs and events. So I hope you'll join us in February. But now let's get to today's session. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Okay, there you are. Hello, everyone. So we have Mohammad Keyhani. He's the Associate Professor of Entrepreneurship and Innovation at the Haskayne School of Business at the University of Calgary. And many of you were probably at our Calgary conference in October. And Mohammad, he presented one of the top rated sessions on AI coding, or vibe coding, which we're all learning about right now. And so we thought it would be really great to invite Mohammad to do one of these virtual sessions, since it was so popular in Calgary. But before I turn it over to Mohammad to share screen and start our presentation, let me tell you a little bit more about him. At the University of Calgary, he teaches a popular course called Generative AI and Prompting, and he regularly delivers AI training, workshops, and talks. He has experience as a lab strategist at the Creative Destruction Lab, Rockies, and he's a David Rockefeller Fellow at the Trilateral Commission. He's author of the Generativity Advantage, which explores how to leverage distributed innovation on digital platforms. So Mohammad also blogs about all of this on DigitVibe. He's the co-founder of HoneybeeLogic, where he builds AI tools for schools. So he's the perfect person today to talk to us about AI. So Mohammad, I'm going to turn it over to you. He's got about 30 to 40 minutes of a presentation, and then we'll open at the end with Q&A, which I'll manage from the chat. So please feel free to chat your questions. So Mohammad, over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Thanks for that introduction. I'm so excited to be here. Always excited to talk about AI and especially generative AI. I'm generally a technology enthusiast and an AI optimist, but I do recognize that there are concerns and ethical issues and environmental concerns. I do recognize those, but generally my tone about AI is very optimistic. So just with that caveat, I'm going to get into the presentation. Let me make sure the settings are correct. Very good. So everyone should be able to see my slides.
Yes, thanks, Mohammad.
Yes. Okay. Great. Okay. So I'm going to be talking about the new makers and entrepreneurship with AI coding. I think generative AI is changing a lot in our world, including entrepreneurship and software development, and therefore entrepreneurship with software development. So we are very fortunate to have discovered these new brains. It really happened around 2022, 2023. So really, a lot of what you hear about AI that was written before 2022 is different. And it wasn't really talking about the kind of AI we have now. There was really a seismic change that happened in 2022, 2023 with the discovery of large language models. And I call it a discovery because really large language models don't get pre-programmed. You don't program everything about their behavior algorithmically. You just create a dish for them. That dish is called a neural network. The structure is a mathematical formula called a neural network. And then they grow in that dish as you feed them data. So you water them with data and they grow in that dish and they turn into something. Well, we learned that if you basically give them the entirety of human civilization as a data set, they grow into something beautiful that can actually produce very intelligent thought. And that the fact that this whole thing, the dish and the brain in it, is a digital artifact, and it has the properties of digital artifacts, meaning that we can transmit it across space, we can create copies of it, um, is amazing. It creates lots of affordances for us. We basically have this intelligence as a service available on demand whenever we want it. Now, like I said, it's not pre-programmed. It's a brain that has grown in a dish, a digital dish, and therefore we don't fully understand it. It's not like the AI companies that built them fully understand what they do and how they think. Every day they're doing research to try and understand their behavior and how they think. They're kind of like alien creatures. And I sometimes liken the discovery of large language models to um, first contact with an alien species. I actually have a whole blog post about this on digitvibe.com if you like to take a look. But yeah, that's why I'm so excited about it, because as a sci-fi nerd, I've been waiting for first contact with alien creatures for a long time, and this is really like that moment. Now, the interesting thing is that this alien was built in our image. It was built on top of our civilization. That's why it feels so familiar. It feels like it knows so much about us. Um, it's basically a technology of knowledge accumulation, a way to build on everything we have before. And every time we've built technologies of knowledge accumulation, we have made transformations to our civilization. Think in terms of comparing it with the invention of language, paper, writing, the printing press, internet. All of these were technologies that allowed us to build on each other's knowledge. And this again is a technology of knowledge accumulation. It basically encapsulates the patterns of all of our civilization into this large math model that produces new patterns of thinking similar to the intelligence of our civilization. So it has really empowered us as human beings. It's a new creature. But it changes everything for us as humans because now we are empowered with it. Although it's kind of a temptation too because we can offload a lot to it that we would otherwise have to do ourselves. So both in terms of cognitive atrophy and cognitive superpowers, um, this creature is now available to us. Um, I tell my students that you can either use it to turn into a zombie or you can use it to turn into a superpowered being, let it give you wings. The way we do that in universities is a critical issue. A lot of teachers and educators are seeing the zombification and are worried about it. Um, but a lot of them are also seeing the superhuman aspects, things that were impossible before are now possible. I actually think universities need to deal with both of those consequences and are not properly dealing with them right now. So, given my interest in generative AI, I started teaching a course on generative AI and prompting at the University of Calgary. I wrote all about it in a book chapter that you can find in this book, AI in Education, The Urgency of the Now. It's available on Amazon. My chapter in that book describes the curriculum of my course, which I think is a foundational curriculum for generative AI literacy. After 3 years of teaching it, I've basically arrived at what I think are the essential um, elements to teach students. Of course, it evolves every term, um, and I'm always last minute editing my slides. But there are certain things that I think are now the basics of generative AI literacy, and that's different from regular AI literacy. I always use that term generative because it's a different kind of AI from traditional AI and machine learning. I won't get into that, but I have a whole description of what is the difference between traditional machine learning and generative AI. The basic topics that I teach in my course include understanding the technology, a little bit on how large language models work, not getting too deep into the computer science of it, but just at a high level, I think students need to learn what a neural network is, how it's trained, and how it works. A little bit about the model and tool landscape, what's out there. I try to keep tabs on things and always track the market leaders, especially in every category of tool. The ethics of generative AI, all the issues around responsible AI, the environmental impact, everything that is out there. The issue of prompt engineering, which I think goes hand in hand with machine psychology, because you need to really understand the psychology of LLMs to be able to prompt them well. Issues around RAG and fine-tuning, which basically means how to give the AI reference knowledge and how to get it to behave in certain ways with examples. Agentic AI, how to get it to plan, think ahead, take its own initiative, and cooperate with other AI systems in multi-agent systems. These are major topics that I think are foundational to generative AI literacy. And despite the last 3 years, everything that has changed, I think these are all important topics. But perhaps my favorite one is building with generative AI, because that gets the students to go beyond the chat window. So they've had this chat window that they've been interacting with AI a lot, but to go beyond that and actually build with the powers of generative AI, you can do it with both no-code tools through APIs and AI coding. And it's very empowering for students. It helps them learn the technology better, learn the possibilities better. And it's also empowers them as entrepreneurs. And that's the main thing I want to talk about today. But this concept of API, if you don't know what it means, it's the most important concept that I think students learn in my classes: application programming interface. When they learn about this concept, they feel very empowered, because API means how software communicates to software. And the fact that most software out there has an API means that essentially the entire internet is Lego blocks for you and your students. You can build with the things that are out there. You can connect Gmail to Google Sheets to forms. You can build with things that are out there. You can build automations. You can build software. It's a very empowering experience to learn about APIs and that you can use them. When you get into AI coding and you're building full-fledged software, APIs are, again, very important to know, because then you realize that not only you can build software with AI, but you can build AI-powered software with AI. AI-powered software, all you have to do is connect to the APIs of AI service providers. You don't have to build that AI from scratch. And that's a very empowering idea when my students learn about it. So they have this exciting experience in classes building with generative AI. I can't tell you, like, the expressions of joy I've heard in my classes when they get something to work in software that they've built that is AI powered, and they just, like, 15 minutes ago did not realize that they had that power within them to build AI powered software. It's an amazing experience. So how is this changing entrepreneurship? I basically call it the new makers. It's a new kind of maker is now possible, a new kind of entrepreneur. And possibly the poster child for this movement, you might call it the indie maker movement, is Pieter Levels. He has a book out there called The Make Book that's very popular that I highly recommend. It's an approach to entrepreneurship that he follows, very lean, very action-oriented, um, and it basically encapsulates this new kind of entrepreneurship that is possible with all the different tools that our students now have access to. So he himself is famous for building like 70 plus project. Out of those, 4 of them succeeded and managed to get him to millions of dollars of revenue without hiring a single employee. I mean, by now he has started hiring people, but um, even now, very few people he actually hires. And he worked as a solopreneur, demonstrating to the world that so much is now possible just by a single individual. Another thing that he shows in his work is that if you want to build AI powered products, you don't have to go and build the AI models themselves. Like, those are the work of computer scientists, researchers in the AI labs, usually needs millions, if not billions of dollars of infrastructure for training AI models and the compute resources necessary. Most of us entrepreneurs who build with those products don't need to go and build that underlying infrastructure because the companies that have built them provide the services of those AI models through APIs. So for example, Peter Levels shows this in his approach. His most successful recent project is photoai.com, which basically, I've put this screenshot here. It helps you upload a few photos of yourself. It trains an AI model to then generate AI photos of you. Um, and he basically does not reinvent the wheel. He doesn't make the AI models. He just adds the interface on top of them to work well through the APIs. Most recently, he started using video models. And again, he shows that you can build amazing products by using the services of AI models that are already there through APIs rather than building it yourself. Here's a demo of his latest video features that he's shown on his website.
What's up, guys? So Justine tweeted a really good article how to do these character swaps that really are going viral.
Everywhere. I posted 2 yesterday, and I think the day before, and
We almost got like 10 million views, so a lot of people are interested in how to do this. She wrote really good guides. Essentially what it is a motion swap. So you swap the motion of one video. We have a character image of a photo you upload, for example. And those combined create a new video where the motion
video, the person dancing or talking or whatever, like I'm talking right now, gets replaced with the character. And there's some different types of these motion swaps. I call it like motion capture, like mocap.
And there's 2 main models that are doing this. So you have Kling 2.6 motion control, and you have 2.2 animate. And
yeah, so as you can see, he's built an amazing experience with the existing models that are out there, and he didn't have to like go and make those AI models. He just built a software layer on top of that that you can now go use in photoai.com. These kinds of apps like photoai.com are kinds of apps that are entirely doable for our students to build with the help of AI coding. When you say that you're building AI-powered products, it doesn't mean that you have to go and invent the underlying AI and spend millions of dollars on compute. You just use the APIs of the people who've already done that. Another thing he's famous for, Peter Levels, is just the leanness that you can do a lot as an individual. So here's an example. There was this famous entrepreneur who tweeted about a minimal startup. Only need 3 people, 1 developer, 1 designer, 1 CEO. And Peter Levels basically responded to this saying, actually, you just need 1 person. You can pretty much handle everything all by yourself. and he described how he had done it himself. So basically, what's important for business schools, I think, and entrepreneurship centers is that AI coding and the powers that it gives us really, more than anything else that has happened in the past, removes the bottleneck of the technical co-founder. This is something that I see a lot in my business school students. They have ideas, they have great ideas for how to get them to market, how to market them, but they're just waiting for this magical, mythical, technical co-founder that will join them and help them actually build the product. I've seen this pattern for many years. Sometimes it works. Once in a while, in rare cases, they'll actually find a software developer who wants to team up with them, and they're game, and they'll build together. And there's actually lots of cases of successful startups like that. But more often than not, they can't find that technical co-founder. Those technical co-founders have their own ideas for what they want to build. They have high opportunity costs. And more often than not, you can't find them. There's this funny meme that goes on between developers or software engineers about that idea guy that comes pitching their startup to developers, and everyone wants to avoid them. But the interesting thing is that for all the bashing of the idea guy that we've always done in software and in entrepreneurship as well, we've always said ideas are a dime a dozen. Now, with all the capabilities that software and AI are bringing to entrepreneurs, they say that it is the era of the idea guy. The idea guy is making a comeback. So I think to some extent, I'm one of those idea guys. I had a lot of ideas that I wanted to build, but I didn't have like a software team to just build them for me. But more and more, I've been able to build my own ideas. And this started even before AI coding. I am now supercharged with AI coding, and I spend many hours AI coding these days. But even before that, I was empowered with no-code tools. So I'll show you an example. If you go to my blog, digitvibe.com/networking, you'll see a form like this. It doesn't look exactly like this anymore, but it looks something like this, where you fill out your information. And if you fill out your information and press submit, you'll get an email like this that basically suggests ideas for how me and you can collaborate with each other. It's AI generated. I actually don't know exactly what it's going to say because AI is using its own judgment to give you ideas. And that's what makes it fun. But I've built this basic automation, first entirely with no-code tools, just connecting the APIs of a form builder, Google Sheets, OpenAI to do the judgment, and then Gmail to send you the email. And whenever they have direct integrations, great. But if they don't have direct integrations, often you can connect their APIs together with tools like Zapier. And those are also very empowering for students to learn about, that they can just drag and drop different tools and APIs and connect them to each other. So this is how I used to build this networking form. More recently, because I've been empowered with AI, I built an entire platform called ZeptoFlow with AI that helps me build this kind of automation in easier ways. So I've actually now changed the form that was here to something that I made with my own tool, ZeptoFlow. So this is an interesting development for me, because the things that I used to build before, I can now build at the meta level. I can now build the platform that builds those with the AI capabilities that I have. Now, I said an interesting thing about those emails, that I don't really know what's in them because the AI uses it judgment, its own judgment. And I think that's one of the fun things about building AI-powered software, because it's essentially judgment-powered software. It makes its own judgments because of its this new brain that we have found since 2022. And that changes everything. A lot of software experiences used to be very programmatic, like you could predict what the software did. You would have to define the rules beforehand. If this happens, do that. If this happens, do that. If then statements, for loops, like these things, pre-planned algorithms were the core of software. But what has changed now with AI and being able to use AI in software is that it's going to make its own judgments. You don't have to pre-plan everything. That is, in some cases, very powerful, in some cases, scary, and in some cases, fun, because it's surprising. Like, you don't know what the AI is going to do. If previously you had to code, if you find an apple, eat it. Now you tell your AI agent in the code that you're building, if you find something, use your own judgment on whether or not it's edible or not, and you decide if you want to eat it or not. So your AI agents, the program that you're making that's AI powered, now has its own capabilities to judge, and it's able to deal with situations that you may not have pre-planned or pre-programmed in your software. You can see this, for example, in the difference between making two agents on Lindy.ai. It's a no-code agent builder software. The agent on the left is a little bit less agentic. It still makes AI judgments, but I have defined more details for it of like what you need to do and when you need to do it. The agent on the right is more agentic. It has less details, but it's actually more powerful because you just tell it, hey, you have these tools, you decide what to use, and when you need to use whatever tool, you decide, and then just give me a response. So more and more AI is allowing software to become agentic and make its own judgment. That also makes it fun. So one of the AI coding projects that I did and built a software with was Muse Battle. I built this with Replit, and it's a tool to help me teach some AI concepts in class. But it's very fun because these AI agents that represent historical characters, they battle each other by making artwork. And it's fun because we have no idea what artwork they're going to make. It's completely like they decide how to prompt the AI, and then the AI generates artwork that is unpredictable, that we don't know exactly what it's going to make. So I had to put a content warning there that this, like, they may produce things that may not be suitable for children without adult supervision. This is another example. I'll probably skip this one because of time, but this guy made a really fun AI product just as a quick demo by connecting a bunch of different APIs together. So he would get the AI to
Here's a quick demo of what happens when David Attenborough narrates your life. On the left, I'm going to start
his webcam,
my camera,
sends it to an AI
every 5 seconds, takes a photo from my webcam. On the right, I'm going to start David Attenborough.
It gets the results back and then connects to an audio API, 11 Labs, which reads them out loud.
As I move around,
Here we have a remarkable specimen of Homo sapiens, distinguished by his silver circular spectacles and a mane of tousled curly locks.
So this is, again, fun because you don't know exactly what the AI is going to say. It's surprising. It uses its own judgment. That's one of the things that makes coding with generative AI fun for students, because it's like coding with a programmer right beside you who's doing all the things, but using its own judgment. And then the software that you make can be AI powered as well. And that can use its own judgment to do the various things that you do. So I show examples of how AI coding empowered me to build things. One of the first things I built was just go and download all the files in the discussion board of my LMS, the learning management system at my university. This was a very simple project, just copied and pasted code from ChatGPT into a Python environment, and I made it work. That was really fun. Another simple project I built was recombuilder.com. This is now, it's because I've put it online for a few years now. It's being used around the world to help generate drafts of recommendation letters for students. Initially, I had just copied and pasted code for this to work from ChatGPT, but then more recently, again, I made Zeptoflow to make tools like this that have a form builder, an AI engine in the back. So now if you go to recombuilder.com, you'll see that it's powered by Zeptoflow. Another thing that I've built recently is Check It So. It's an automated document processing solution. You have lots of PDFs that you want to extract information from and put in a table, or check to see if they comply with a checklist like course outlines. You can use Check It So. And these are like not just prototypes, they are working software that I've put online. I'm sure they're still buggy. They have lots of issues I need to fix. But for the most part, I've made them to solve my own problems, and they're doing a pretty good job. And other people can go use them too. Another recent one that I've been working on is HelperBat. HelperBat is basically an email scheduling assistant. You can connect it to your calendar. It'll manage your calendar for you. It'll manage coordination with others for you. It creates doodle polls. It actually replaces Doodle, replaces Calendly. It creates a booking page for you. And it has an intelligent AI email assistant for a price that's much, much cheaper than competitor products. Because really, again, I wanted to solve my own problem. I needed a scheduling assistant, and all the good products out there were super expensive when it comes to AI-powered scheduling. So I made a really, really cheap alternative, and I can bet that it probably works better than many of those other AI products. One of the first things I built was just a basic mobile game, but I show it in my class because it's a good example of how we approach the AI coding process. I first built the first sort of prototype for it, not on an AI coding app, but just on Claude. Claude was the first AI that had artifacts. Now OpenAI's ChatGPT and Gemini have them too. They call it Canvas, but it's an environment that can run code. And Claude was the first one that had it, and I played with it. It can run like one page of code, but that one page of code is often enough for you to like prototype the basic idea to see if you like it and if it works. So this match beat, like mind-bending puzzle game that I built, the first prototype for it, I built with Claude. And I was playing with it on my phone and realized, yeah, it's actually fun. Let's build this into a full-fledged product. I ultimately built it into a full app and put it on the App Store, the Google Play App Store. But I'm probably gonna take it down now. But it was the first time that I had published an app and actually become an app developer on the Google ecosystem. But it really showed me that this is possible. And it also showed me the process that you should probably start prototyping and building requirements with AI first before you go into the full-fledged AI-assisted programming tools. My favorite of those tools is now Replit. I have tried many of the other ones, but Replit takes care of a lot of the difficulties and hassles that non-programmers might have. And so I recommend it highly for your classes. But even in my classes, sometimes students prefer to go to the other ones. I have a primer video on how to get started with AI coding. It's already getting a bit outdated, but it's still pretty good. But the interesting thing I do now is I work with the different AIs. For example, this is how I built the product requirements document for ZeptoFlow. I work with the different AIs to build a document like this, a product requirements document. And it is a pretty big document. Like, I think this is 48 pages, this document. And it's built by me, through a conversation of me with Claude about like my idea, and I asked it to ask clarifying questions until it has all the details it needs to create a good PRD, product requirements document. And you and your students will see that if you spend some time building a good product requirements document, then the AI coding effort that comes after it is much easier. So when I was building ZeptoFlow, most of my prompts to Replit were just refer back to the product requirements document and see what next steps we need to take. Many of my prompts were like that until I fully built ZeptoFlow because I had a good requirements document to start. So yeah, this experience, getting students to experience building software products with Replit, has been the most intense entrepreneurship experience that I have been able to bring to students in class. I've taught many entrepreneurship classes in the past. This level of intensity of experiencing the startup, building with AI coding, I had never seen in classes before. And they just love it. The students love what they can do. They often burst into expressions of joy in class. But I should say that whenever I do an AI coding project, I do give it quite a lot of time, like maybe 2 full days, if I can, of time to work on the AI coding projects with their classmates. In block weeks, it works pretty well. In other kinds of classes, I have to tell them to make sure to find the time to work on it with your team outside of class time. But even then, at least 2 or 3 1-hour sessions, 1.5-hour sessions, I devote to them just having time to do AI coding with Replit. So the experience is amazing. It's the most intense simulation of actual real world startup experience I've ever been able to bring to my classes. It's really an exciting time to build, and I hope that you can bring this type of experience into your classes as well. Some of my material that I have taught before, we actually brought a videographer to record the sessions and can be subscribed to online at ucalgary.ca/no-code, because it's called the No Code and Generative AI program. With that, I am done, and we can open it to questions.
Yeah, thank you, Mohammad. And yes, please just feel free to chat your questions. There are a few already, and I've sort of synthesized a few of them for you, Mohammad, but attendees feel free to continue to chat your questions. When you were talking about photoai.com, there was a question of, has that founder monetized yet? And I think that that's something that you could speak to, is when they get, these students are finding joy and sort of quickly creating something, but how are you getting them to focus on the traditional business and revenue models as they are doing that so quickly?
Yeah, that's a very good question. First of all, Peter Levels, he's the king of monetization. He makes millions of dollars off his stuff, partly because he has a distribution channel. He's been tweeting about his projects for years now, and he has lots of followers on Twitter. And that's his distribution channel, basically, when he makes new products. So he actually makes a lot of money. He's probably the most profitable solopreneur, indie entrepreneur that I've seen. But when you're doing it in class exercises with students, thinking about the business aspects of it is actually a huge part. I often have student groups of maybe 5 people, and really I only encourage 1 or 2 of them to go create Replit accounts and do the AI coding. It is better if you can do 2 because you can do 2 experiments, see which one is going better, and then continue with the one that's going better after some point. But the other 2 or 3 people on the team, there's so much that they can focus on while the product is being built. And even before, when you're writing the requirements document, to think about the business aspects, use those deep research tools in ChatGPT and Claude to go and analyze the market, understand the competitors. Those are very powerful tools that are available that they will send hundreds of AI agents to go review different websites and bring you market analyses and competitor analyses. And many people are still not using those deep research tools. So I highly recommend those. They really help the entrepreneurial and business aspects of the project. And I think that's what business students really bring to the table when they engage in software development.
Hey, thank you, Mohammad. And then there was a comment in chat about problem identification and customer discovery, and so many of us have always been encouraging students to get outside the building, go talk to potential customers, go talk to the market. And so again, sort of similar, there's a lot they can find out through really great market research. Even before AI, there was great market research out there. It's easier now. But how are you encouraging, or have you changed how you encourage them to really get out there and talk to people about the problem part rather than the solution part?
Yeah, I usually do say in my classes that if it's built on a real world need, that you've talked to actual people who need something, then that's considered a great business case for your project and will help the grade. But my class is a generative AI and prompting class, not an entrepreneurship class. If I was teaching this in an entrepreneurship class, I would have like the entire first half of the term, maybe even more, just on the entrepreneurial and business angles, going out, validating the idea, without starting the actual coding until later. Maybe building rough prototypes with other tools, but I wouldn't start them on Replit until the second half of the course, when we are more certain about the product validation, have done our customer discovery work and everything. So in an entrepreneurship class, that's how I would bring it in. But so far, I've just been using it in my AI class as an entrepreneurship exercise in my AI class. And so I haven't emphasized those aspects too much.
Thank you for making that distinction. I think that's important for everybody on the call to know that a lot of what you're talking about was in the AI class. There is a specific question here about Replit. Can CMS be controlled and expand in a Replit website? Maybe some anecdotes around that.
If by CMS they mean a content management system, basically
Yes.
Building a website with Replit is different. It's a new way, because before, one of the best ways to build websites before Replit was to use a CMS, something like WordPress or Plone, or like WordPress is the most popular one. And I don't recommend using those anymore, because just using Replit, you can code everything from scratch instead of using the pre-built structures of a CMS. And you can build more amazing things. So I recommend just using Replit and not using a CMS. I don't you can build a whole CMS potentially inside Replit, but otherwise, I'm having difficulty understanding the question in terms of the relationship between Replit and CMS. They're different approaches to building websites.
Okay, thank you, Mohammed. And for Sobia, it looks like you have a hand up.
Yes, thank you so much, Holly. Mohammed, I really enjoyed it, and I'm your regular follower. Not that I'm stalking you, but I do follow you for my own inspirations. Also, thank you so very much, Holly and Mohammed, for this organization and the session. I'm curious to find out. Have you worked with AI in different languages, maybe? So, I wanted to see if there was any impact in maybe deeper cultural differences and how the AI would be interpreting as such. And, if that would be a possibility, how would it have a global impact?
Yeah, I mean, trying to get different insights from it from different languages is an interesting exercise I sometimes do, but mostly I'm just speaking to it in English, and when it's coding, it's most efficient to speak to it in English. But if there are students for who English is not their first language and they're having difficulty with English, they can very well speak to the AI in other languages, and mostly it understands it very well and is able to code given instructions in other languages as well. In terms of the cultural nuances and biases that it might have in different languages, there are certain studies being done on that, but nothing that I've seen impacts sort of the coding capabilities of the AIs. Maybe it might impact the way that it understands like users or user preferences if you talk about it and talk to it in a different languages. But I haven't really tried giving it instructions in another language and asking for code.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mohammed. We're at time, and so I just want to do I always leave the last 5 minutes for final announcements. But thank you for being here. I think it's given us a lot to think about as we think about how we're using AI in the classroom, whether what courses we're teaching. So thanks so much for being here. And I just want to do one last plug for some things we have going on. Certainly join us in February for our February virtual connections. We'll be here on February 27th. And like I said, we're going to have the Iowa State team here talking about evangelizing entrepreneurship across campus. So the team will be there. And then also just another reminder that next week we will be opening our GCEC Global Summit that will be in Sao Paulo, Brazil. And so the news will be coming out about that on email and on LinkedIn. So please pay attention. But otherwise, I think we are done for today. And again, just thank you, Mohammed, for being here. Thank you, Katie Hoover, for helping organize all of this. And thank you, everyone, for being here. I'll see you next month in February.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.